You're waiting. Um, let's start with John Cole. We can talk sports first and then get on to whatever else you want.
As much as I'd love to talk about the Phils and staying up that late last night, I want
Yeah.
to ask you about something you actually announced last night, that Pennsylvania was joining other states in taking legal action against President Donald Trump's deployment of National Guard troops in U.S. cities. I know for the past month or so, you've talked about it before to me, that you said the state was, quote, prepared if Trump was going to decide to do this in Pennsylvania. Is this legal action what you were talking about in reference to what the state was preparing, or are there additional actions your office may take on
Many
this?
additional actions. This is just one piece. I filed that amicus brief last night to make very, very clear that the Pennsylvania National Guard, under the leadership of General Pippi, is under my command. I'm the Commander-in-Chief of the Pennsylvania National Guard. And we use the Guard responsibly, and we are grateful to our Guardsmen and women for the important work that they do here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I think the way the President has chosen to deploy the Guard in other states, and in at least one case, deploy the Guard of one state into another state, Texas into Illinois, is extremely dangerous. I will tell you, as both the Commander-in-Chief of the Pennsylvania National Guard, along with the former Chief Law Enforcement Officer of this Commonwealth, Pennsylvanians' safety is paramount. And the way in which the President of the United States has engaged on this Guard issue does not make us more safe. It creates chaos and real danger in our communities. I've been working tirelessly to make sure we hire more police in Pennsylvania, and we're at about 1,500. I pledged to get to 2,000, and we will surpass that. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars in violence prevention initiatives here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and violent crime is down 42% across this Commonwealth. If the President really wants to help on safety, he should invest more in policing here in Pennsylvania. He should invest more in violence prevention here in Pennsylvania. He should not attempt to deploy the Guard against my wishes.
Just one follow-up on that.
Sure.
On that brief, Attorney General Sunday's name is not on there, but yours is. Did you coordinate with Attorney General Sunday's office prior to putting your name on that?
You know, we've got a very constructive working relationship with General Sunday. I have authority as governor to file an amicus brief like that, to file lawsuits as does he under the Commonwealth Attorneys Act. There's no conflict between he and I, and as for his position on this, you'd have to ask him.
We're getting into day 9 of the shutdown here. Are Pennsylvanians starting to see effects from that, or what are the big concerns you have if this continues to drag out?
Well, look, my hope is that they get back to the negotiating table in Washington. There are real effects to the fact that the federal government is shut down for our veterans, for our school kids, for our environment, for public health, public safety, for people who want to just simply hop on a flight and go visit their family. And so we have, we hope that the Republican leaders in Congress, remember, Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, they obviously control the White House, that they will reach out and work with the Democrats to get the 7 or 8 votes necessary to forge compromise and get this done.
Quickly on SEPTA, how concerned are you about that NTSB report on the regional rail trains? And I know the state just went through a protracted funding battle with SEPTA, but is there anything the state can
I'm
do?
very, very concerned about that, and I know SEPTA's going through the testing right now of those silver liners, and so we'll know more as they, complete that process. But look, I mean, this is why I pushed the Senate Republicans for nearly 3 months to fund SEPTA. And in the end, when they walked away from the table and said they were unwilling to fund SEPTA with new operational dollars, I had no choice but to agree to SEPTA's request to flex their capital dollars for operating costs. And now we're in a position where SEPTA needs more capital dollars to deal with the challenges with the silver liners. I can tell you that I am working closely with SEPTA to figure out a solution to this. I will not leave them hanging. I was just in Quebec 3 days ago, where I was elected chairman of the Great Lakes Commission by 8 U.S. governors and 2 premiers in 2 Canadian provinces. And one of the meetings I had up there was with a company that supplies trains like Silverliners here in the United States. And so we're actively working on a number of different opportunities here for SEPTA.
Governor, right now the state minimum wage is stuck at $7.25. I know you're trying to push it to anything higher than $7.25. Why is it still at $7.25?
Because the Senate Republicans refused to bring up a vote to raise the minimum wage. The House of Representatives has has voted to raise it to $15 an hour. I've been calling for the minimum wage to be raised to $15 an hour, but you have the Senate is in control of the Republicans. They do not believe Pennsylvanians should make a higher wage. It is inexplicable to me. With costs rising, the fact that they don't want to put more money back in people's pockets is just wrong. And frankly, it's shameful at this point to have a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour, and the only ones to blame are the Republicans who lead the Senate.
Thank you, Governor.
One or two more?
Anything else? Thank you all very, very much. Okay.
Your thoughts on the ceasefire in Gaza? I mean, your thoughts on it?
There is reason to be hopeful today, and I am so looking forward to seeing these hostages be returned home to their families, and to see their opportunity to embrace and to see these families reunited. What they have had to go through has just been devastating. I'm also looking forward to seeing some real relief come to Gaza. It is critically important, as these details get hammered out, that Hamas no longer be in a position to govern in Gaza. They are a terrorist group. There's obviously a lot of details that needs to be worked out here since the president's announcement last night. But I am hopeful and I am optimistic, and I look forward to seeing these hostages come home very, very soon. Thank you all very much. Go ahead, John.
One last thing.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the state house passed a budget.
Yeah.
And $50.25 billion.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the ball's back in the Senate's court, but we don't have any, indication that they're going to accept the deal that the House passed. So I guess, is there a certain spend number that, should it go lower, will you accept? Because I know your original ask number was higher than this, and it's going down. So what number will have to hit for you to say no?
I mean, look, the House of Representatives, on a bipartisan basis, passed a very responsible budget yesterday. Understand that it's about $1.5 billion less than what I proposed. So it shows real movement. It protects the entirety of the rainy day fund. It cuts taxes, doesn't raise them, it cuts taxes, and still manages to make critical investments in things like education, public safety, economic development. This shows real compromise. And what did the Senate Republicans do as soon as that budget went over there? They did what they do best. When the going gets tough, they ran home. I introduced my budget damn near 250 days ago. They've bothered to show up for work 30 days since then. By the way, they're collecting a full-time paycheck, but they only showed up for work 30 days in the last 250. They've got a responsibility to compromise, to show up for work. We have an $11 billion surplus. There is no reason for this to be held up any longer. And I think at this point, what the Senate is doing, they've shown their cards. They obviously were trying to play political games, score political points against me and damage me. That clearly did not work. And then yesterday, they announced that even though they're technically in the majority, they don't have the votes to pass a budget. So my advice to them, show the heck up to work. Respect the people of Pennsylvania enough to be at work doing your job. And if you don't have the votes, get the hell out of the way and let the Senate Democrats pass it. Senate Democrats have 23 votes. You need 3 Republican votes in the Senate caucus. And I've got 3 Republican senators who have come to me begging me to run that budget. They want that budget to run, and they're prepared to vote for it. So I think what we really need is we need the Republican leaders in the Senate to show up for work and put that budget on the floor. It'll pass, and I will sign it immediately, and that will provide real relief for our schools, for our rape crisis centers, for our veterans. We got to get that done. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.